And
hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about Fenn's words in a variety of forms, and then we'll open up the phone line so you can disagree with me. Okay? Hey, Miss Shelley, how are you doing?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm darn good. Good week. Good start of our Fenn week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to do some housekeeping here.
Housekeeping, you want to?
Because everybody, sooner or later, as stated in something Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's
Guide to the Galaxy. Everybody needs a tell.
That's
at least
right.
one. First of all, if you get the opportunity, when you get the opportunity sometime in this conversation, make sure you like our video. YouTube likes it when you like our video. Also, there's a button to share our video with others, so please share it with your friends, your neighbors, your family, your business associates, and anyone on your social network who you think might be interested in looking for treasure. And then last but not least, if you're not already a subscriber, this would be a grand time to subscribe to our channel. And once that notification bell pops up, click on the notification bell, and that way whenever we send out an announcement of an upcoming stream or we start an upcoming stream, you'll be immediately informed. That way we can
grow
our channel. Actually, that was associated with a share, but I missed it. Okay, so we got a bunch of things to talk about today, but most of all, we want to open up the phone lines.
If you decide you want to leave us a comment in the chat, make sure you precede your comment or question with an @ capital A space Gypsies space Kiss. Gypsies does have the apostrophe. It should auto-populate unless you're on a phone, in which case you may have to type the whole thing in.
And I'm going to type one in so you can see what it looks like.
If you just can't manage that, then text us at 866-597-9901.
So it'll actually, as Shelley said, it'll pop up once you type in the space G. It'll pop up, and then you just click on, and then it'll highlight it. And what? Kyle Lazar's, we don't do music in the afternoons, but on the afternoon shows, but welcome to the program. It's nice to see you. Cal Lasers. Yeah, so Greg just did it a couple of times so everybody can see it. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for that. Okay, so a couple of things before we get started with today's program, and that is literally just before the show started, I got a text message from Rick McDonald, Illinois Ghost, as you guys know him, and he said that Jenny Kyle had just published a list of 20 questions from some kids that she had done a presentation to on searching for treasure for Fenn. We haven't even had a chance to look at them. We literally just printed them out. But if you look in the description box below, I have posted a link to that Mysterious Writings page, and you guys can take a look at them there. Now, the only thing that concerned me is when I pasted the copy that I'd made of that link, it added a bunch of stuff at the end that I don't recall seeing, the %EF, %BB, %BF/. So if that doesn't get you there, delete that stuff after the dash and then go from there. But so thank you, Rick McDonald, for sharing that with us, and thanks you folks for taking a look at it.
It might be because you had to scroll down and then you had to click on the article and then
to find it there.
So that might direct you directly to the article.
Somebody might do us a favor and check out that link that I posted in the description box below to make sure it does get you to the Mysterious Writings website and those 20 questions that Fenn answered. I did a quick scan and I didn't see anything that was news breaking worthy. My favorite one is number 11. Is it in Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, or Montana? A child asks, and Fenn responds, yes. So that's, it's a bunch of Fenn answers. So
he probably watches our show, that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe it was your grandson.
Oh, could very well be. I wonder where she was. All right, so what we do want to talk about today is this question that Fenn got at the beginning of the week. Now, a couple of things had happened. He published Scrapbook 200 on Dale's site, and I looked at it, and it was about a book that was written by Pamela, it starts with a G, but somehow or the other that name reminded me of something. And I think that the woman that wrote the book that Fenn highlighted in Scrapbook 2000, or I'm sorry, Scrapbook 200, I'm trying to remember if that was the woman who had a YouTube channel who claimed that she had found the Fenn's treasure at the statue of the Immaculate Conception or the Holy there's some statue up in Colorado that she claimed was where the treasure poem took her. And I thought it was the same person. Again, I'm open to being corrected on that. But I looked at the book and I looked at the scrapbook and I didn't find anything there. It was like a promotional for the book. So I didn't. I've read. I'm not going to buy this one because I've bought all the other books. You know, Russell Osborne, Robert Redford's book. Shelley bought that one actually, right?
Yeah, Kevin got it.
Oh, Kevin got it. Both Fly Waters, Catcher in the Rye, For Whom the Bell. I've read all of them, and I've literally never gotten anything
Eric
out
Sloan
of them.
book.
Oh, the Eric Sloan 80 book. So I'm not going to buy any more books. Not that.
Pamela Stevens, says Greg.
Pamela Stevens. So is that the woman? I thought it was Pamela. She used to have a YouTube channel, and she was infamous in the chase for having stated she found the treasure, and it turned out to be a statue, a large statue someplace in Colorado. I think it's the one of that statue that of the nun that founded the Carmelite sect of nuns. Okay, let's get back to the thing. So we'll talk about 20 questions. If there's anything in the 20 questions in response to the kids, we'll bring it up tonight. But I just want to make sure that I want to make sure you guys get the link so that you can go check it out yourself. And again, third time, thank you, Rick McDonald of Illinois Ghost, for sharing that information with us. So also,
Christ of the Mines.
don't forget that if you would like to contribute to our project, you can do so freely by clicking on the stylized $ at the bottom of your chat window. That'll give you the opportunity to contribute in the form of Super Chat. So thank you for that.
All right.
Okay, so this is the question that was published on Dale's site this week. It was the question from a gentleman's name whose name is Fred, and it brought to mind a couple of things that I want to talk about, that we talked about, and that I want to talk about with you guys. You want to read the question?
First, I want to remark that this email was very well written. Punctuation is perfect, and for a person who's blind, to be miles above most of the emails we've ever seen, or any kind of posts or anything that people put up on the internet, where they just kind of have run-on sentence that lasts a whole page, or don't use punctuation or capital letters. I was impressed. So maybe have your computer help you with things if you have an issue with spelling and run-on sentences and such.
Thank God for word check, spell check.
So Fred says, Mr. Fenn, I have thoroughly enjoyed the treasures of your stories, and thank you for sharing them. I am blind, and my friends tell me that Ray Charles and I look alike. I am pretty suspicious of their use of those words. My computer can read me your book as I turn the pages, but only the text. I cannot see any of the photos or non-text items. Does this hurt my chances of solving your poem in any way? If I should happen to come up with some sort of solution, I have people that can take me. I may even pretend to solve it just to have an excuse to smell the waters you mention and feel the grasses and rocks under my feet. I am already richer for having experienced your guided tour of your travels through life. Thank you, Fred. Now, keep in mind, the only question Fred asks in this email is, does this hurt my chances of solving your poem in any way, referring to not being able to see the photos or non-text items? That's the only question he's asked in here.
Mm-hmm. So Fenn doesn't answer the question. But Shelley points out the only question that's asked is in the context of, I cannot see any of the photos or text items. Does that hurt my chances of solving the poem in any way? That's that, as we like to discuss, and is a yes/no answer, right? It's a question that starts with does or doesn't or can't or can't. All of those, we've already talked about it before. So he's asking a question that should have gotten a yes/no answer. Does this hurt my chances of solving your poem in any way? Fenn doesn't answer that question. So we don't know if not being able to see the images or the graphics in the book is either helpful or hurtful or non-impactful in helping us to find the treasure. What Fenn responds instead, he says, well, Fred, because you can't look at a map, which is not what Fred had asked, and Fenn makes the assumption because he is blind, because Fred is blind, that he can't look at a map. He says, because you can't look at a map, you certainly are at a disadvantage. It's not impossible for you, but you're at a disadvantage. Also, I should point out something that Shelley pointed out, and that is, I can have people that can take me, meaning the obvious answer to saying if you're blind, you can never find the treasure is, well, wait a minute, I have friends who aren't blind who could take me if I were to interpret the poem correctly. So Fed says you can't look at a map. You certainly are at a disadvantage. Not impossible, but at a disadvantage. I know where the treasure is hidden, but if I were blind, even I couldn't go to that spot. Sorry, thanks for listening to my book. So to me, that almost doesn't make sense because it implies that blindness is a preventive from being able to find the treasure. But he doesn't say that. He says, because you can't look at a map, you're at a disadvantage. Okay, I understand that. I know where the treasure is hidden, but if I were blind, even I couldn't go to that spot. And the implication being that if he were blind and he tried to get to the spot alone, he couldn't get to that spot. So imagine you're alone, you're out looking for Fenn's treasure, and you're required to wear a blindfold. That's the equivalent of what Fenn is citing. Now, you shouldn't be looking for the treasure alone anyway. You should have somebody there. You should have a partner there, or somebody that can, make sure that nothing bad happens to you. But let's think of it that way. Fenn says, if I put a blindfold on myself, I couldn't go to that spot. The implication of that is that there is no, we've talked about this before, that the finding the treasure requires visualizing from one clue to the next, right? You can go to that spot, you can park the car, but at this point you have to see where the first clue is, and you have to see where the second clue is, and where you have to see where the third clue is. Now, in the case of someone who is blind, you could take someone with you and say, I'm going to describe to you what I think warm waters halt, where warm waters halt are, and I want you to take me to what you think that location is, and I can validate it. I can have a sense of it, because we know that people who are missing certain senses make up for it with the other of their senses. So that's one thing. The implication being that once you've figured out the poem, and I kind of tied this to the little girl from India, right? Shelley and I talked about this. The little girl from India who can get the first two poems without being first two clues in the poem without being boots on the ground. That is where warm waters halt and canyon down. She can find that somehow or the other. We don't know what kind of resources she has, but we would assume that she has a map or has access to a map or has access to the internet and could get the first two clues. But after that, has to be boots on the ground. Again, some sense that it requires visual, being able to see one clue from the last, the next clue from the last. And that's how I interpreted this. But there was something else that kind of bothered me about it, and that was the absoluteness of statements like, but if I were blind, even I couldn't go to that spot. So one of the principles, if you will, unwritten rules of the intelligence world is that you should never speak in the absolutes of absolutes. And I just did that, right? it is the opinion of the intelligence community. I'm going to correct my own statement. It is the opinion of the intelligence community that you shouldn't present your results in the form of absolutes. Let me give you a couple of good examples. And I'm going to give you one that it was well known in the intelligence community. In August of 2001, there was a memorandum written at the National Security Agency, and it was submitted to the president. And the bottom line, the last sentence in that memorandum said, conclusion, there is no way a terrorist group, either domestic or foreign, could debilitate a major American city in any way, in any form. And of course, about a month and a half later, we found out that assessment was incorrect. And I've noticed that, and this is going to sound like a criticism of Fenn. I'm not trying to criticize Fenn. I'm just trying to suggest things that we need to keep an eye out for. One of the things that we have to keep an eye out for is when Fenn speaks in absolutes. Let me give you an example. The treasure will never be stumbled upon. That's an absolute, meaning that there is no way in his mind that there are a certain set of circumstances that could occur in which someone has stumbled over a treasure, yet we have evidence that many treasures have been, in the past, have been stumbled over. So I think one of the things that we need to do is recognize that when somebody who is telling us about their treasure starts speaking in absolutes, we can assume automatically that that absolute is incorrect. Now, it's different if he were to say, in my opinion, there is a high probability, because that's how the intelligence community speaks, and I'm explaining why they speak that way. In my opinion, there is a high probability that the treasure will never be stumbled upon. That's completely different from the treasure will never be stumbled upon. And I think what we have to do is consider the possibilities that the treasure could be stumbled upon. A, because we have evidence that other treasures have been stumbled upon in places where people said they would not be stumbled upon. And B, things change. And I was reminded recently, and you can find these on YouTube, look for the videos of where a child is being presented with an inset technology, right? Technology that is implanted in the back of their head that enables them to hear for the first time. If that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. Even more differently, imagine, and that was because science had advanced to the extent that they recognized that the sensors inside their ears had been disconnected from the place in our brains, because we're not a very complex system at all. Everything is connected to the brain. You don't see with your eyes. You actually see with your brain. You don't hear with your ears. You actually hear with your brain, because to your ears, it's just vibrating waves in the air. And so technology comes along, in this case, medicine comes along, finds out where in our brain that is heard, where we hear in our brain, and they correct that link. They fix that link by implanting something in the ear and implanting something in the brain. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the ear, because part of the implant is the thing that's interpreting the waves going through the air. Basically, it's a change in pressure. Another one of those videos that you can look up is the first time an individual who is colorblind is presented with a pair of glasses that is a recent invention, but they're presented with a pair of glasses that enables them to see all the colors, because colorblind people don't see in black and white. They see in colors, in a fixed set of colors. And they're presented literally with a set of glasses that enable them to see all the colors. And again, you're going to find that it's heartbreaking in a way to see those people see colors for the first time. They didn't have that chance before. And again, that's because science figured out exactly what part of our brain does the optical transfer and interpretation that comes from our eyes and goes back through the optic nerve into our brain and processes it there. Because the 10% of our brain that we use, 90% of that 10% is used to process visually acquired information. Now, in Fred's case, there will be a time where the blind will see again, not in the traditional sense where the repair is done to sometimes the eyeballs themselves, or sometimes the optic nerve, or sometimes the part of the brain that's damaged. But eventually there will be technology that will enable the blind to see in a way that the hearing impaired can hear, or the colorblind can see colors. That's a possibility. So saying that it is impossible to find for the blind to find, which Fenn, by the way, did not say in here, it just means that we shouldn't ever, as much as possible, and without strong evidence, speak in absolutes. And you can see, again, I keep qualifying them. They're opinions. We shouldn't speak without evidence, et cetera, because it's real easy to take something that comes in that's stated in an absolute way and make it part of the mythology. The treasure will never be stumbled upon is part of the mythology because it was said that way. When the evidence is there that it may not necessarily be that way in the future. And so that was the point that came to me this morning when I started thinking about how we were going to address this thing. But I think the most important thing about it is that Fenn himself says, I know where it's hidden, but if I were blind, even I couldn't go to that spot.
And I'm going to read a comment from Greg Keller that I had thought of as well, like 10, 20 minutes ago before Toby started pontificating. He says Forrest's answer could be him having more fun with us. He already said he can't go back there any longer, even if he could see. If blind, he definitely can't. And K-Pro says, is he focusing on the map? Is it all about the map? Is that what we're missing? No, K-Pro, because he's told us in the past, all you need is the poem, the book, and a good map. He's never left out the map part of it. He's been very upfront about the map, so it's not new information. We've all known. He also said marry the clues to a map. So he's telling us you have to have a map to find where Warm Waters halts and Canyon Down. That's what it is.
I agree with that, and I'm sorry if I was pontificating.
Mm-hmm. Everybody was getting bored and leaving. So.
Oh, okay.
Now they're back, though. So
right.
Yay, welcome.
Okay, so a couple of things. I'm going to turn the phone lines on because we have till nearly 40 minutes that we can have a conversation about what you thought about whether or not the blind can see and whether or not Fenn could get to the treasure even though he covered his eyes with a blindfold, and the reasons that is true. And I think part of it is the fact, as Shelley stated, is part of the fact is that he's old. He's older. He's 8 years older than when he hid the treasure, and he feels like he's past the point where at that age it's safe for him to go out and return to that treasure and take a look. So call in. I'm going to open it. The phone lines are now open. Call in and let us know what you think about this most recent commentary from Fenn. The question from Fred.
I think he was trying to answer the question without giving any new information,
right,
which I think he did, in a sterling manner, because he didn't actually answer Fred's question if the pictures, graphics in the book were of any help in solving the poem. That's what he really wanted to know, and that question was not answered.
So the phone line is 866-597-9901. Call in. Let's hear from you guys about what you think. We have our first call from Joel Lewicki.
All right.
Hey, Joel, can you hear me okay? Let me see.
Hello?
Hi,
Hello.
Joel. Can you hear us?
My name's not Joel, but I can hear you.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I have Joel Lewicki's phone number, and it popped up on my phone. All right. Well, apparently I don't have Joel Lewicki's. Oh. So who is this? Where are you calling from? And what's your comment?
My name is Rudy Green.
Hey, Rudy.
I'm calling from Tennessee. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
And first of all, I'd like to get put on Shelley's list.
Okay.
Just so that you guys can hold me accountable later.
Okay. For what month?
Well, it's really going to depend on the snow, but let's say May.
All righty.
Wow.
And that was Rudy Green.
Is that Green with an E?
I'm very optimistic.
Hey, why not?
Yes, it's a silent E on the end.
Got it.
All right. Gotcha.
So what else?
Oh, well, I wanted to comment on the new scrapbook and the Forrest Got Mail as well. Obviously, a lot of people have made the connections, like the 2020 or the 2200 being legally blind in the United States and various other things. But I think there's another word that might be hinted to here that's unstated, and that's the word sight. Forrest talks about the hiding spot being a sight, S-I-T-E. The lack of vision is a sight. There's a clue in the poem, look down. It's really the only directive that is specifically for using our eyes. I think there might be something hidden in there.
So sight,
my thought on that.
sight, S-I-T-E, as a location in comparison to sight, S-I-G-H-T, as a way of seeing things.
It's just a thought, yeah.
No, that's an excellent thought.
That was my initial impression. There could be something there.
So are you doing any work, any additional research in this area?
I am. I already have I'll use your language. I already have a theory I'm going to try out that I'm pretty confident in. So, but, everybody's still looking at background stuff and seeing where that leads.
So Kpro brings up an interesting point. She said there's another form of cite, C-I-T-E, as in to cite a paragraph in a book or a quote. So I think there's some interesting research to be spoken about in the comparison between sight, S-I-T-E, as a location, sight, S-I-G-H-T, as the ability, as something that can be visualized. So we look forward to hearing back from you and see how much of this have you incorporated into this solution that you're implementing in May?
Nothing to do with, yes, I actually have done something to do with that, but it's a further extension of something that I've talked about before, which is the look down directive, possibly alluding to like lining up a gun sight, which would be another S-I-G-H-T.
Right.
We have a reference in one of the stories, I don't remember if it was Thrill of the Chase or Too Far to Walk, where, Forrest is shooting birds and he has to line up his crooked sights. So I have that based a little bit into what I'm doing, because I'm doing some a form of triangulation. So,
well, call us back at the end of May and tell us how your search went, and then tell us a little bit more about whatever research you're doing in this area of sight, and sight.
Okay, I will do that.
Hey, Rudy, thanks for calling in. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Have a good day.
I think what happened is Rudy and Joel called at the same time.
And it showed Joel's
and it
number.
Sent Joel to voicemail, but it showed his
Oh,
name.
interesting.
And
'Cause I know-
it sent the other call in, because he must have been like a fraction of a second before Joel.
Joel has a Minnesota prefix, and that Rudy's prefix was a Tennessee prefix. So there must have been some little crossover there at some point, Joel. Sorry about that. Call back in. Let's talk.
So for May, we have Rudy Green, Davio, and Mr. T looking to find that treasure and bring it home.
So May 31st, we'll come back if we haven't heard from you, and we'll ask you how it went for you.
Since today's the 1st of May, we're going to be, reminding our May treasure hunters. If anybody went in April, let's see, did anybody go in April?
We didn't have anybody. Hey, you've reached Toby and Shelley on our afternoon show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's your comment?
Hi, Toby and Shelley. This is Steve Gahagan calling.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
Hello.
Nice to hear from you.
Doing well. It's good to hear you.
Thanks.
I just had a comment on the Forrest Gets Mail. I thought it was kind of funny how Forrest says, he doesn't have to go back to a special place because it's so vivid in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he tells us if he was blind, he couldn't go back to that place.
So is how much of that is a byproduct of the fact that once you're out in the field, it is very difficult, even if you had the tools that a normal blind person might have, such as a a cane, et cetera, et cetera.
Or a dog.
Or a dog, how much of that is a byproduct of the fact that once you're out in the field, it's not like walking on a sidewalk with, set parameters and curbs and sounds, et cetera, et cetera. Once you're out there, there's just, I'm actually curious about whether or not the next time I go out there, I'm going to put a blindfold on and see how much it changes things.
It might be easier to see instead of those trifocals.
Well, and I think it's more of a safety thing where it would be too dangerous for a blind person to go out there.
Agreed. Yeah, without someone going with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about
they may have that extra sense from being blind, but when you're out there in the mountains, anything can happen with all your senses.
Right.
A perfectly healthy person can get hurt.
Yeah, and the other thing is,
so that's how I take it.
I think that's a very good analysis. The other thing about being up in the mountains is things change. If you're walking on a sidewalk, pretty certain that sidewalk is not going to change for you. But up in the mountains, things change constantly. And so what you may think as an open path to your treasure location may no longer be an open path.
Exactly. Or if it was difficult getting in there with all your senses, then being blind could make it practically impossible.
Yeah. I think if I ever, like I said, if I ever go back up to the Rio de los Pinos, I think for the heck of it, I'll put a blindfold on and see if that changes the things. But Shelley makes a good point. I wear trifocals, so I have 3 lenses here, one for kind of general sight and one for computer sight and one for reading. And they're a disaster when you're walking in the mountains because you have to, as you're looking down, you're actually looking through the reading portion of the glasses, and it changes your perception of depth. And I can't tell you how many spills I've taken as a result of, I've learned basically to take off my glasses when we're in the mountains. So, because the trifocals, they're as dangerous as anything else you could take with you. I've taken some pretty good spills, as Shelley will attest to.
Well, if you do go out there and blindfold yourself, make sure that Shelley's recording it.
Watch me stumble over the cliff. Oh, we've lost Toby. Yep. But here's the good video of it. I think, guys, make sure you give us a like or a dislike. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
you gotta
okay.
Get a like for that.
Now that sounds like a challenge. Now we're going to have to do that. I'm going to put a blindfold on and wander around the Rio de los Pinos with Shelley recording it. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, sir. Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling in. We hope to see you again tonight.
Yes, I'm going to try to call in again tonight.
So when are you going? Or is your name on the list?
No, because I don't know
what
the Blaze is or where it is.
All right.
Where it is.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I can't put my name on the list.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. That's fair.
I think it'll reveal itself once I'm there, but I can't say with certainty what it is or where it is.
I think that's a very wise position in the matter. 23 Monarca says, we'll miss you, Toby. Okay, guys, now I'm challenged. Now I'm going to have to do this. Okay, so if you find your way out to New Mexico, make sure you give us a call, right?
I will. I'm going to try to come out Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, great. It'll be fun.
For sure.
All right, sir. Have a good day.
All right. You and Shelley, take care.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye. By the way, did you see that email from Michael?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I answered him back, and I replied to all. So.
Oh, I didn't actually see it. So, are we doing something on Saturday?
Saturday. We haven't figured out what and when.
Oh,
Thought
okay.
We might have a barbecue.
So, Michael Hools, MEH of Tokyo fame, is in town or in the area. He's searching, and so he wants to get together on Saturday, which happens to be Shelley and Kevin's anniversary.
35.
35 years.
Yep.
I am so proud of you.
I was married when I was 2.
35 years, and it happens to fall on May 4th, which is, for you Star Wars fans, the
Star Wars Day.
Star
May
Wars
the 4th
Day.
Be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
And today, I would suggest that if you like a funny song that's kind of dirty, go look up Jonathan Colton, Coulton. He sings a song about the 1st of May.
Oh, Interesting.
So today's a fun day to listen to that.
It's International Communism Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another bit of trivia. Okay, Joel.
Rick Plank says, consider the progressive lenses. He loves them.
You know what, Rick? I tried them and they just made me dizzy.
That can happen.
Yeah, they warned me that one of the byproducts is when I purchased them, they said, well, yeah, we're not going to charge you or we'll refund your money if they make you dizzy. And they did. They made me dizzy. I'd love to be able to use them, but again, the problem is that when you're looking down at the ground, even if you have progressive lenses, you're so we got Portugal. Hey, you've reached Toby and Shelley. Who is this? Where are you calling from? And what's your comment?
Toby, this is Joel Lewicki.
Oh, Joel got through. Yay.
Great. We finally got you. I do not know what happened with that phone call because literally, as you well know, I have your name in my contacts list. So whenever you call, your name pops up. That's why I thought it was you. So interesting.
I figured that. And I just assumed you were screening your calls. So,
well, if we were,
just because you do that doesn't mean we.
We love talking to attorneys, no matter what we talk about.
You know, the only disadvantage of this is I can't hear Shelley because I have to turn it down on my computer, and she doesn't come through on the phone. So I'll just have to, pretend like I can hear what she's saying.
Oh.
Hang on.
Or delayed read her lips on my YouTube screen.
So why can't
I don't know. Did you make changes?
No. Let me see. Hold on.
That's okay.
Let me see. So that's that. Oh, I know why you can't hear Shelley. Talk now.
Hello. Can you hear me?
And let me just apologize. Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, okay, good.
We fixed that. Thank you for.
Let me just apologize to the 131 people in the room who I just made sit through a technical problem. Sorry about that.
That was good. Hey, no.
They've done it before. They'll do it again.
Yeah. So
those are always the best part of live shows.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's get right down to it here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's two things that came out, it came out this week, right? Both the new scrapbook and his Forrest Gets Mail. Mm-hmm. And these are Forrest initiated, right?
That's correct.
For the guy that said he was stepping back.
Right.
Okay. But honestly, the guy who cannot stop advertising full-page color. It's the search season, or the start to the search season, and he wants to get this thing going again. And I think that's, at least to me, that's obvious. But when it comes to the Forrest Gets Mail issue of if I was blind, even I couldn't go there. Mm-hmm. I think that it does. In my mind, it's originally my thought was, okay, he's clearly saying he can't get to the spot any longer because he's said that already.
Right.
I think, Shelley, you pointed that out, and I commented on K-Pro and Mike's video afterwards because I didn't get to see it live, but I was watching it and I thought, boy, it just seems to me like he's just reiterating that he can't get here to the spot anymore. Mm-hmm. And one, that should tell us it's not, it is not 20 feet off of a parking lot somewhere that's just a stroll into the woods. He said that before. You can't just park and walk in the woods and get it. Mm-hmm. It is more complicated than that. And part of that complication is that, and for him it's always been about the search, right? So using your eyes as part of the search, I think he's highlighting the importance of situational awareness and being able to see those things when you're there. Mm-hmm. Combine this with the fact that 6 years ago, multiple people had figured out the first couple of clues and went right on past the other 7. Mm-hmm. What were they not looking for? What were they not seeing?
Right.
It's not like nobody has been close to this thing. Mm-hmm. People have been close. They are just not seeing the right things. So I think that's part of part of it. That's all.
And no, there's more, because I like hearing from you. So I'm going to make a couple of statements, and I would like your opinion on on these statements. Okay. So
Okay.
the first statement.
Pontificating room here. It comes.
Yeah. We're going to pontificate for just a minute, because I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to make a statement, and then I'm going to tell you I'm going to ask you what you think about that statement. The distance between here. So here's the statement. The distance between the first clue and the last clue is less than 1,000 feet.
And you want my reaction to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, my first reaction would be prove it, but then my second reaction would be, I think that it's very possible that it is considerably less than 1,000 feet.
Even better. Okay, second statement, and I'll qualify it so that it doesn't sound like an absolute. In my opinion, that once your boot's on the ground and you've gotten past the first two clues, your eyes are much more important than whether or not you have a map.
I would strongly agree with that.
Okay, us. See? We do agree on things. Who said that we don't agree on anything?
Oh, yeah. So, and for instance, everyone is looking at put in like it's a noun, right? Like it's a place. Put in the poem is a verb.
Right.
It's like putting in extra time at the office. I think that maybe putting in the effort to look for these things that are next.
Yeah. Interestingly
That's
enough, the put in below the home of Brown for us in our Rio Chama solve was important and necessary, because if you didn't put in, if you didn't action put in, you would never see the no place for the meek.
Yeah, and I think that that's where the LGIF, she can't do it.
Yeah. All right, sir. Well, I always enjoy it when you call in. We love that you do, and we hope we're not creating distress for your workday. But we're just happy that not only not only did you try multiple
You
times,
got to
but
take a little break.
yeah, I agree. Even
The other interesting thing,
Yeah.
right? The other interesting thing that came out was this scrapbook 200. And are you going to get to that at all, or are you just
We're not going to discuss it. We
focusing
didn't. I really want your opinion on it, because we didn't find anything of what we thought of as interest. But I'd sure be open to your opinion on the matter.
Well, I think that it's unless he was just trying to get to 200, right? Like it's very nondescript. But
Yeah.
the fact that he's trying to draw people's attention to my childhood in Montana, that is, I don't know what he's trying to point out there, but there's something there.
Because for those of you that haven't read Scrapbook 200, it's about a book that was written by the woman whose name I mentioned earlier, and it's actually her editing. The book is her edit of was it her grandmother's stories as a child?
Boy.
I don't know if it was grandmother or great-grandmother.
Mother-in-law?
Was it, or whichever, but it was stories of that person's youth being spent in Montana. Very similar. There are stories that are apparently one page each, and they're very much in the vein of Fenn-style memoir, where she talks about, chasing the chickens and things like that. So.
Right. I think that there are still important lessons from Fenn's childhood and his stories about his childhood that were left out of Catcher in the Rye that he wants us to pick up.
Oh, you're making me crazy now. I got to go back and read that.
I think are going to be crucial.
So I read that book in high school and college, and then about 4 years ago.
Right. I don't think Catcher in the Rye is important.
Yeah.
I think that Forrest says, "Oh, that's my story," but he left out some really important things.
Right. In the thrill of the
And then
chase.
he wants to talk about those. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I don't think there's no hint in My Childhood in Montana, the book.
Right.
But, yeah. Always a pleasure. Have a great afternoon, both of you. I will get off the line and let someone else call in.
Joel, you're right.
Have a great day.
It always is a pleasure, and we're grateful. Thank you very much for calling in. We love hearing from you.
Ta-ta.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I'm glad we fixed that problem. And again, it was the aux. When I had taken that photograph, I turned them all down. I didn't turn yours back
So
up.
Sheila Draper says, maybe he can't get to the spot anymore because everyone is watching him. I also thought of this. What if he can't get to the spot anymore because he doesn't have a four-wheel drive vehicle anymore, and he would have to drive over a river and some rough forest roads, and he doesn't have the vehicle for that anymore. So there could be many reasons why he can't get to it anymore. He didn't explicitly say why. Let's see, Greg Keller. Oh, he's just talking about me. Wait, there was another one I thought.
Christine Kinsey says, Toby, have you searched the Pagosa Hot Springs, Colorado? Christine, the only thing we searched when we were in Pagosa Springs are
Hot
for
Springs.
hot springs.
And we took pictures at Treasure Falls.
And we went specifically to Treasure Falls to get a photograph of it, of which I just I had a canvas made of it, and I just gave it to
It's
Shelley
in my
because
office now.
because it doesn't align with my new.
Denise Baker says, the
Strategy.
poem says it's too far to walk, so don't you think there is some driving involved? We used to think that.
Well, and it doesn't say not far, but too. It doesn't say it's too far to walk. What it says is not far, but too far to walk, and it's a riddle. So the question is, if we interpret that rationally, logically, literally, then it's too far to walk. But we can't interpret anything in the poem literally. We have to figure out what the riddle of not far, but too far to walk is. There's a riddle there someplace that I haven't been able to find. But for example, one of the things that we have used in various of our theories is that if I'm on one side of the river and you're on the other, we're not far from one another, but it's too far to walk. I can't walk down the canyon, back up the canyon again, et cetera, et cetera. I've got to go back to wherever the local bridge is.
But you could just drive over the river.
Exactly.
If you had a spot that you could do that. Jay Minnesota wants to know, what is the website for the music? I want to maybe pick a song.
It's karaoke-version.com.
Yep. And you'll find a lot of songs on there. So just let us know which one you want, and we will take care of the rest.
Okay, phone lines are open. I'll wait for one more call. If not, we will call an end today's show, and then we'll see what's going on tonight.
So tonight we're going to talk about those 20 questions that Fenn answered. We'll go over them one by one quickly, because a lot of them are the same old. And those that really catch our interest we'll spend a little bit more time on. And of course, we'll be reading your emails, texts, and voicemails, and then taking live calls in the second hour. So if you have a question for us about those 20 questions that Fenn answered, make sure you text us at 866-597-9901, and we'll make sure to read that text this evening about those Fenn questions or anything else you want to talk about.
So best question so far is number 14, do you think there is treasure at Oak Island? Fenn says yes.
Okay, we're going to do that tonight.
Okay, I won't do any more. All right.
So somebody asked how many people are on my list. I have 18 for this year and 1 for 2020. Let me read those names. And if you want to be added to our list of people who are planning to go out and get that treasure this summer and you know exactly where it's at, then let me know you want to be added to the list. So for May, we have Mr. T, Davio, and Rudy Green. For June, we have Sheila Draper, John Ito, S.J. Kent, and Evan Penn. For July, we have J.A. Street, A Muse in the Craft Room, and Anonymous Seeker. For October, we have A. Woodhall and Jason Northface. And then without a specified month, we have Mark Connor, Mitzi Moore, Steve Wayne, Robert Nenig, Jerry from Texas, Casey from Idaho, And for 2020, Imagination of Innocence. So once again, if you want to be added to the list of I know where the treasure is and I'm getting it this summer, let me know your name and what month, and we'll add you to the list.
I thought we did this. Bo, because he sent an email, Bo wants to be added for the month of May. He actually said this weekend, but we'll give him the month of May.
All right, Bo Walker. We kind of lost our intermittent our list in between, and so we may have missed a few things. That's why I wanted to read this today.
Greg Keller says, Toby, I told my boss at work that I might have better things to do tonight. Per your suggestion last week, he wasn't very keen on the idea. Well, if I was a boss,
I'd
you know
expect
what?
You at work when you're supposed to be there.
I would simply invite him to see, so he can see what he's missing and have a real
just have it on the big TV in the break room or something.
And that way he can see it and have a better appreciation for how you're involved in all this, and see the show being telly show.
Say, the community involvement is important in my mental health. All right. So if we have any more people who want to give us a call and talk about what can a blind man see, can a blind squirrel find an acorn every now and then, can a blind pig find a truffle, can a blind man find a treasure, and why can't Forrest go back and retrieve the treasure? What is your opinion on that?
So Jana, Minnesota, J Minnesota wants us to add her for June.
J Minnesota.
And I just saw somebody else. Hang on. Mike Money. Next year, July.
July 2020. All right.
All right, guys. I'm going to turn off, since we're not getting any more calls, we're going to have an early day today, I think. I'm going to turn off the phones. And as Shelley said, we'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. We'll go, by that time, we'll have had a chance to look at the 20 questions that came in from kids. Some of them are just really cute because they are kids and they just don't know any better. So we'll have fun with them tonight. We'll read them and let you know what we think about them. So I think there is one good worthwhile.
Well, don't give it all away.
Oh, okay,
They're not going to watch tonight.
All right, 7 p.m. tonight, Mountain Standard Time. I'll put an announcement so that you guys get a notification once we're getting started.
And again, if you do go and read them and you have any questions or comments, give us a text at 866-597-9901, and we'll get into that tonight.
Yeah, somebody just tried to call. So I'm going to, for the person that's 717 that just tried to call, I'm going to open up the phone lines again. You'll see this in 30 seconds. Try to call back in. Sorry. So 717, call in. I've got the phone lines open again, so you can come and join the conversation here for another 10 minutes because I don't mind holding the phone lines open.
Hold the phone.
Hold the phone there, baby.
Look at us. We're getting so tan being outside all the time. Toby's been working in his yard, and I've been walking, and
yeah,
we're getting so tan.
They're installing the shed tomorrow. I'll have a shed so I can put my yard tools someplace.
Tools. And then maybe we'll have a barbecue on Saturday if you get a grill.
I'm probably going to go tomorrow and buy the new grill.
Yeah?
Yeah. Over there at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Which has been my second home, apparently.
Yeah. So you need to write to Michael and let him know.
Okay. So you want to do that? That's your anniversary. Why are you coming to a barbecue on your anniversary?
What the heck else are we doing?
Okay.
It's 35 years. It's not like it's our 1 year anniversary when we go on a cruise or something.
So what do people give people on their 35th anniversary?
Food.
No, seriously. Feed me. So
consumables.
Can you eat hamburgers on Saturday?
Yeah.
Are you back to? Is your diet?
Lettuce, just no bread.
Oh, okay. All right. I can do that.
Ketogenics. Yay.
Ketogenics. Hamburgers on lettuce. Okay, 717's not calling back in, so let's.
Steve Gahagan says you should have people call in to read the questions with kids' voices like the gummy bear commercial.
Oh my God, that would be so much fun.
Then they'd have to be prepared to read it. They'd have to know the question and which one, and it'd be a little bit difficult to set up, I think.
Mr. Fenn, do you really think that kids can solve your poem?
I'm going to do that.
Oh,
Here we
there's
go.
that call.
There we go. Hey, you've reached Shelley and Toby. Who is this? Where are you calling from? And what's your question? Or what's your comment? No questions. Hola.
Hello.
Can you hear us? Turn your computer off, otherwise it's going to get confusing.
Mute it.
Mute your computer, otherwise it'll be total confusion. There's the computer in the background. Hello? Say something so we know you're there. Just say anything.
Just hold up a boombox over your head and play music.
Play music. Okay, so...
Somebody there?
somebody there? Anybody there?
Hello.
Hello?
Hey, look at you. Hello? And 717 just called in again. Poor guy. Poor person. Okay, so
Hello?
we have this phone line so we can have a conversation. And we'd like to have a conversation with you, but there is some sort of technical glitch. So I'm going to hang up, see if we can fix a technical glitch, and then call back, okay? All right, 717, now, right now.
Well, I think that's a phone issue, not us. We didn't do anything wrong. Or
No, not on our side.
Yeah.
We're hooked up, sister.
Did you turn it? Oh,
717 makes it in. Look at you. All right. Hey, you reached finally after 4 tries, Toby and Shelley. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And what's your question? Don't forget to turn off your audio on your computer so we don't get that feedback.
Oh, no, I have a headset connected. It's
Cool.
Mike Money.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Calling from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
I guess
Good
there's
state.
like a delay in the video, so I was trying to catch you on time.
Yeah, there's a 15, depending on what's up with YouTube, it can be from 15 to 30 seconds. So, yeah, it's hard because when we say the phone lines are open, you don't hear that for another 15 seconds. So, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, would it be difficult because I did hear somebody say that you would be muddy if you retrieved the treasure, and also in Jason Dent's last interview with Forrest Fenn, there is a video where Forrest kind of says that the water's really muddy. So I don't know if that has something to do with it.
So in the first case that you mentioned, that came from a source that I'm not convinced is a how do I say this objectively? I don't put any credibility in that particular source. I should
No, and I don't either. But
Okay.
I did hear Forrest Fenn kind of say it in that last video, and then he kind of backtracked and said, well, some people believe the treasures in Wyoming. Like, he changed the subject real quick when he said the waters are real muddy.
Yeah.
He didn't even say waters. He said the water's real muddy.
Yeah. So let's do. So let me mention this because for those of you that aren't aware, Jason Dent. He's no longer Fenn Treasure Hunter. He changed the name of his channel to Jason Dent. Put up a video last night that's actually an audio recording that he made during the time that gentleman from the German Playboy was interviewing Fenn. And Jason was there, and he had permission from Fenn to use the recording. He has permission from the writer, and I can't remember the writer's name. And he has all the necessary permissions to publish that interview. Now, it does have some technical issues that he explains at the beginning, but there are some interesting things, and we're just going to have to add that sooner or later to the set of topics. It's a long recording. It's over an hour and 30 minutes long, but there are some interesting things there, so I'm going to strongly recommend that you go over to Jason's website and listen to the recording and see what you can extrapolate from it. So Mike, what else did you get out of that recording that Jason made?
Well, that's the only thing that stood out to me, because as soon as he said the water was real muddy, he changed the conversation real quick to something else.
And what question elicited that response? What was he asked that caused him to respond?
He was saying that when someone finds the treasure, that they got some time to think about it. They should hold it under their bed for like 30 days and think about what they're going to do. And he said, I spent $8,000 with lawyers seeing what happens if it's found on like private property or Indian property and stuff like that. And then he said the problem is the water is real muddied. And then he stopped and he kind of backtracked and said some people think it's in Wyoming, like went off the subject completely. So that was my thought, that he kind of slipped and said something he wasn't supposed to.
Interesting. Well, again, I only heard from Jason last
That's like
night.
40 minutes into it.
Yeah. How long is the total recording? Did you listen to the entire thing?
No, I didn't even, because I kept rewinding to that part and I got stuck on that.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the one that stood out the most. I know he was just talking about flying planes and everything, and
Right.
and then he gets to spending $8,000 with lawyers, and then he said that the problem is the water is real muddy, and then he's like, some people think it's in Wyoming. You know what I mean? He just jumped off topic.
Interesting. All right. Well, what we will do is over the next couple of days, I don't know necessarily, how about if we plan that for Friday's show? Talk about the recording?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Mike, thanks for the
Yeah, that sounds
update. Thanks for taking the time to call in. I'm glad you had the tenacity to try 4 times before we got a hold of you.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Wayne Ross says, referencing to the legal waters being muddy, that's what it sounds like in context once our caller
Mike Money.
Mike Money, once he explained the context of it, that does sound like what it's about, the legal muddy waters, which kind of land he could bury it on or hide it on, and what could he do, and how could it legally be passed to the finder.
Well, we can listen to it this afternoon if we have time. Maybe we'll just put it on the old
That'd be
Google.
good napping sounds. Yeah.
Good napping sounds. All right, I have turned the phone lines back off. It is
Greg
2
says
o'clock.
1 hour and 25 minutes it lasts.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. We can do it. We'll try and listen to it this afternoon, but the plan is for us to cover that on Friday afternoon show. How about that? Because tonight is open text, and boy, do we have a bunch of emails to read.
Lydia agrees with the context of legality of ownership being the muddied water.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next?
So what's next is tonight. We have Hump Day coming up at 7 o'clock p.m. We're going to talk about the 20 questions that Forrest answered. And sure, you pontificate for half the show, and I talk for 3 seconds, and let's go to outro.
It was an accident. Whenever we're in this one-screen version of OBS, I forget that it takes a click to make the change. So go ahead, finish your pontification.
Okay. As if. And then, of course, Friday we will be here at 1 o'clock talking about Muddy Waters, which that's some good music too. We can play some Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
And then 7 o'clock Friday night, Friday Fandango, and maybe in between the 1 o'clock show and the 7 o'clock show, Toby and me and Kevin are going to do something fun.
On Friday.
Yeah.
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 Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we're going to invite you. You haven't talked about it yet.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
We haven't had a chance.
Okay. So, what Saturday is your mom in town and Jared's
The
graduation?
11th,
Okay.
next week.
So that's not this.
Right. Not
So
this Saturday, but the
This Saturday we have Mike and
an anniversary.
an anniversary
And
party at my
barbecue,
house.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Party at your house every weekend from now until it gets cold again.
all right. I think I'm okay with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you this evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for the Hump Day Hoedown. And like I said, we have some text messages. We do have some voicemails. We do have a lot of emails that we have to read. And then we'll open up the phone lines and have some fun talking with you guys, because we always have fun talking with you guys. And we will spend some time with the 20 questions that Fenn got from the kids. But make sure you go over and take a look at that. Go over to Mysterious Writings. I put the link in the description box below. Go over and take a look at Mysterious Writings and take a look at those so Jenny gets some hits. And then we'll talk about them tonight. Okay?
Yep.
That's about it?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go ahead with the outro.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you tonight.
Yeah.
And for A Gypsy's Kiss, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon.